Breaking news tonight. There are stunning developments in the political landscape that have people talking across the nation. Former President Donald Trump has once again sparked controversy with his latest comments on the possibility of a third term in office. Is it just a bold statement, or could there be a path to making this a reality? Please stick with us as we break it all down in this special extended report. Speaking from the Oval Office this evening, President Trump made headlines by addressing speculation about his potential return to power beyond the constitutional limits. He teased sweeping tariffs set to take effect soon, but when pressed on the idea of a third term, his remarks were less than definitive. The U.S. Constitution is crystal clear. No person shall be elected to the office of the president more than twice. That's what the 22nd Amendment states. However, some of Trump's supporters believe there may be a legal loophole. Could he return to power without actually being elected? Some theorists have suggested an unusual scenario. Trump's running mate, J.D. Vance, could win the presidency and then resign, handing the office back to Trump. Trump himself has floated ideas about returning to power in unconventional ways. But the 12th Amendment complicates things. It states that anyone ineligible for the presidency cannot serve as vice president. So that strategy may not work. However, there's another potential route. Should a sitting president's vice president resign, the president can select a replacement, subject to congressional approval. Could Trump maneuver his way back through this process? The legal debate continues. Even Republican leaders are divided on the issue. Senate Majority Leader John Thune has made it clear. Trump cannot serve another term unless there is a constitutional amendment. But changing the Constitution is no simple task. It would require two-thirds approval from Congress and ratification from three-fourths of the states, a monumental hurdle. Still, Trump allies like Steve Bannon insist they are working on a long-term strategy. Bannon recently stated, "We want Trump in 2028. This is bigger than they realize." Trump's populist movement has drawn comparisons to leaders like Hungary's Viktor Orban, who altered his country's political landscape to solidify power. Critics argue that this kind of leadership fosters corruption, economic stagnation, and weak democratic institutions. Supporters, however, see it as a necessary stand against what they call the deep state and globalist influence. Under Orban's rule, Hungary has become one of the poorest countries in the European Union, with a crumbling healthcare system and mass immigration of professionals. Critics fear similar consequences if American democracy takes a similar turn. So, where does this leave us? While Trump himself may not be eligible for re-election, his influence over the Republican Party remains undeniable. Could the GOP attempt to shift legal structures to allow a return to power? Or is this just political rhetoric aimed at keeping his base energized? One thing is for sure, this is a conversation that will continue to evolve in the coming years, and we'll be right here to keep you informed every step of the way. But let's dive even deeper into the political and constitutional implications. The debate over a third term isn't new in American history. Franklin D. Roosevelt famously won 4 presidential terms before the 22nd Amendment was ratified, limiting future presidents to 2 terms. The amendment was a direct response to concerns that a leader staying in power for too long could erode democratic stability. However, Trump's statements have revived conversations about whether such limitations are necessary or if voters should have the ultimate say. Some legal scholars argue that while the Constitution places restrictions on direct election, it doesn't fully eliminate alternative pathways to power. The idea of a leader returning in an advisory or influential role without holding the official title of president has historical precedent. In Russia, Vladimir Putin navigated term limits by serving as prime minister between presidential terms, effectively maintaining control. Could Trump adopt a similar strategy? Additionally, the Republican Party's internal dynamics play a critical role. If Trump were to position himself as a kingmaker, wielding influence over the party and its candidates, he could shape policies and decision-making from behind the scenes. Already, candidates seek his endorsement to gain credibility among the GOP base. A Trump-backed presidency, where he controls policy without holding office, could be an alternative approach to a formal third term. Moreover, the possibility of amending the Constitution, while daunting, has historical precedent. Throughout U.S. history, amendments have been introduced to change presidential term limits, electoral procedures, and succession rules. In today's politically charged environment, the feasibility of such a change is low, but not entirely impossible if a strong enough movement emerges. Public opinion also plays a significant role. Polls indicate that Trump maintains a strong base of supporters who are willing to push for his return. However, opposition is equally fierce, with many Americans believing that adhering to constitutional limits is essential to preserving democracy. The potential for mass protests, legal battles, and political upheaval cannot be ignored. Internationally, the trend of political leaders extending their rule has led to significant consequences. Countries like Turkey, China, and Russia have experienced shifts in governance where leaders have altered or circumvented term limits to remain in power. While their domestic policies have varied, each case has resulted in heightened political tension and, in some cases, economic consequences. If a similar attempt were made in the United States, the implications for democracy, stability, and global perception would be substantial. The discussion around presidential term limits also extends beyond Trump. Future leaders may look at this debate as a test case for challenging constitutional constraints. If successful, it could create a precedent that reshapes how executive power is handled in the U.S. for generations. This issue is far from settled, and we'll be keeping a close eye on how things develop. Do you think Trump could find a way back into power? Could legal loopholes or political maneuvering change the game? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And before you go, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and hit that notification bell so you never miss a breaking news update. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next report.